and Georgian mercenaries Arthur Inácio Raube da Silva and David Likakeli. Both were put on the international wanted list. Criminal case has been sent to court against a Canadian citizen who fought as a legionnaire in the armed forces of Ukraine, Mitsuki Kede. He has been placed on the international wanted list. Currently, the Investigative Committee of Russia has opened 8,523 criminal cases on crimes committed by the Kiev regime and has completed investigations into nearly 900 of those cases. 877, in fact, of them involving 1,151 defendants. And let's talk about children that the Kiev regime likes to mention so much, trying to hide the real picture in front of the international community. The leader of the Kiev regime, Zelensky, and his associates like to play on people's sympathies, talking about the so-called tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands or millions of minors supposedly kidnapped by Russia. Or about the so-called unbearable suffering, as Zelensky likes to call it, of the Ukrainian people from Russian aggression. Draw an example from children. And as usual, they ask for money to alleviate suffering, restore mental health, that's a phrase I've seen as well, and return children. And then after receiving these donations, they are legalized through some charitable foundations. But that's where the conversion takes place, into direct pumpings into the pockets of the Kiev elite. In reality, neither the children themselves nor their mental health are of any interest to the criminal neo-Nazi regime. Yes, children are a factor for them. They are their instrument. They are pretext and an excuse. And I'd like to give you some horrific examples. The patriotic education of Ukrainian children. We see these camps where minors in Ukraine, where they're imposed with nationalism, xenophobia in its direct meaning. And we see what is happening to children who have been transported, who have been, and it's not just their parents, close relatives, but some charitable funds who have been aided by Zelensky's wife, who have been transported overseas. Tens of thousands of Ukrainian children who are in Western Europe who have just vanished into space. No one is taking record of them. No one knows where they are. Neither their parents nor their close relatives, nor the authorities or the social services. Someone tries to draw attention to this issue, and some people try to alert them of the issue, but the Kiev regime is trying to silence any talks of that. And we see a lot of examples that this patriotic education and this attitude toward children, anything that breaks the psyche of children, especially after the nationalist radicals seized power in Kiev in 2014. They burned dozens of people in Odessa. They promised to flood Crimea with blood. They became famous for their atrocity against the civilian population of Donbass and actively set about educating the younger generation along the lines of the Hitler Youth. They seek to instill in children from an early age a false sense of national superiority and hatred towards representatives of other ethnic groups. And if anyone says, no, you're misguided. I would like to remind you how we've heard the same words about the Nazi symbols, insignia, about the flags that were used in acts of terror and acts of horrible extremism of the Azov battalion. Just take a look. It's not just Russia or Russian journalists, but representatives of mass media in other countries have drawn attention to the fact that on November 4th, during the award ceremony for the personnel of the 4th Rapid Response Brigade of the Ukrainian National Guard, the leader of the Kiev junta posed in front of a flag with the emblem of the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich. Fascist chevrons were also on the sleeves of the awarded fighters themselves. This is confirmed by photos posted, incidentally, on the official Telegram account of Zelensky. In this context, it's quite ordinary. And any signal is alarming, but for them, it's just another day. But operating on this routine, we've taken note of another event that has been noted by journalists who analyzed the social media accounts of the deputy commander of the 1st Mechanized Battalion of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade on the Armed Forces of Ukraine. If we really talk about it, it's just the neo-Nazi Azov regiment, Anton Redko. The soldier shows off his tattoos. What do you think those tattoos are? It wasn't a demonstration of the symbols of some national insignia or landscapes of Ukrainian fields or seas. Not at all. These are tattoos with fascist symbols, including a swastika and the emblem of the SS Panzer Division Totenkopf. And the photos in which the militant poses in front of a monument to Stepan Bandera. He also likes to accompany with quotes from Hitler's Field Marshal Erwin Rommel and collaborator Roman Shukhevich. We also found and displayed on his account desecrated Orthodox icons. All this is evidence of the true nature of the Kiev regime, as well as the leadership of those Western countries that sponsor it. I've also noted an interview that appeared on American video hostings recently about who has been recognized in our country as a foreign agent and the law enforcement agencies had other very justified reasons, but one of them, when responding to a question how he feels about tattoos or symbols with direct use of Nazi symbols, swastika, SS emblems on their bodies, or if we don't speak about tattoos, drawings of the current Ukrainian Armed Forces militants. And he said that it could be seen, that is a direct quote, as mistakes of the youth. That is an interesting understanding. I haven't heard or seen anything like that during the Nuremberg trial. For some reason, all this was looked down upon from the international law because it was announced as illegal and was denounced. No one was talking about mistakes of the youth, of the representatives of the Third Reich. They were put on trial for those mistakes because those mistakes